I start over from the second bit of advice?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so in continuing from the first bit of advice, and the first bit was really about believing in that thing that you have. At the moment, we didn't have resources, we didn't have anything. But in my heart, I saw that, look, this conference is going to happen and animation will be a component. So I was just behind getting that done. And as persons see that passion you have for something as a young person, they will come on board to invest in you. So my encouragement to young people is that it doesn't matter who it is. It can be a friend, family, a stranger, or even someone who mentors you and knows you. As long as you're able to develop a relationship with that person and you're able to show those persons the things that you truly believe in, they're able to see your drive in terms of, certain areas in your life.
Mm-hmm.
They will invest in you. It might not happen in the time that you want it to happen. It might not happen in the quantity that you want to get. However, the little that you get, make it work, make it happen, and you'll be able to do those things you want to do. And in terms of the diaspora, I think that in the first series on CWS, I was in support of this initiative as one way that the diaspora and persons like you, Mr. Collins, will be able to see that Guyana has more to offer than people realize, especially in our youth. And we think that our young people are stupid. We think that they just need to stay in school, and when they finish school, find a job. But if you look at the global economy, there are many young persons in school starting businesses of their own. They're getting mentorship from their leaders so that they know that it's not about just going to school, but there are things that you might love that are outside of the curriculum. And you need someone to help you to develop those skills alongside your curriculum. So I think that a new approach, and this is one that GAN has recently tested, along with some mentors, is to have the students not only focus on books, but give them interesting things. Tell them about business. Show them elsewhere in the world where young people are bringing about solutions. They're in school. They're only 14, 15, 16, but they're given a new perspective on how you should view life. There are so many problems in the world. And if we allow our young people to think outside of the box, focus on education, yes, but still think outside of the box, I think that will be phenomenal for Guyana. It will transform business, it will transform creativity and innovation. And even in my reading, I was reading on some business notes last night. And one thing I heard is that many firms like Google, Apple, and Sony, they don't let their employees spend 100% of their time only on work, like fixed work. They give them a test called like the 15%, or Google has a 20% rule where you spend 15% or 20% of your time on new things. So if you give persons that time or a part of their stringent schedule to just take 15% or 20% of your time, think about something creative, fun, different. You'll be able to, bring something. You turn on a switch inside of that person that they didn't know existed before. And I think that that's one way. Another way that we can help our young people by allowing them to think outside of the box without putting this restriction of academics. Academics is good, but you need a balance with things that are fun, creative, and innovative. And those are my thoughts.
Jubilante, this is interesting, almost ironic that you're saying this because you are a big uh, academic. I mean, you believe a lot in academics and so on, and yet now you are advocating that academic is not all. Tell me, when did you realize? Because you're still pretty young, but when did you realize that there must be this kind of a balance?
Studying law throughout. I mean, even from high school, there was something, and again, coming from my experience at the Anime Cree Festival, that was the first time ever that I have seen not only the international community, not only the educational system, but the private sector. And when I say private sector, I don't just mean a body that calls itself the private sector. I mean the private sector in terms of the entrepreneurial community. They were really behind ensuring that young people, they got to leave around midday from school to come over to the festival. And if they had apps or web ideas, and these things were actually available on platforms like Android and iOS, those investors went, they looked at those products and told and even pledged funds, and they had the funds right there to say, look, this is promising. I will give you this amount of money to see this project push off the ground. And that says a lot. It says that there is more to life than academics alone. Academics is important, and I'm not saying that you should not focus on academics. I'm saying that you have to focus on academics, but there must be a balance in life. You, as an individual, we're not only born to study. We're born to tap into some potential or some purpose that is there in our life. And in order for us to find purpose, we have to explore and do other things along with the academic background that we have. We have to explore who we are. We have to identify who we are, because that's the only way that we'll be able to lead effectively. If we know who we are, that's the only way we enjoy academics. If we know who we are and what's driving us. And so, those are my thoughts on balancing academics and business or creativity or fun. There must be a balance.
I am curious about what you said just now about the private sector investing their time and money in these young entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Is there any parallel in Guyana? Do you see this, or do you think this is something that needs to be introduced to the private sector in Guyana? And while you're answering this, here's a question I want to ask you. If you had the ear of, and I asked this last week, three people in the government: the Minister of Telecommunication, who is a very big advocate on young people and entrepreneurs, the Minister of Business, and the President, what would you tell them?
First, I will tell them it's nice to, be in the same room as they are. I've been reading a lot about them, and they have been doing good work. However, I believe that there are some things that we need to work on as a country, especially for our young people. And I believe that those things are possible. And I know that they are possible because from a nonprofit perspective, I've tested them. And that means that if our leaders have access to more resources than nonprofits and small businesses have, then they can do so much better. An idea that I had in mind in terms of entrepreneurship, which can apply to both young people and the government, it's something that the government can implement. This is a way that you can boost entrepreneurship in your country, is by opening spaces, and not just an ordinary building, but you create buildings that look interesting. I know in the US they have different names. They call them like creative buildings, but it's not only on the traditional aspect of creativity. But the building is designed in such a way that it calls for people to come in. It calls for entrepreneurs, young people to come in. And in this space, you would have free Wi-Fi, good Wi-Fi, not Wi-Fi that you have to figure out, okay, too many persons are on it. We need to have some people off, or you lock it so people can't get in. This space must be a free thinking space for young people and entrepreneurs to sit down and be able to network and get their ideas out there. Because I find that a lot of times as a young person, as a young entrepreneur, you might have an idea, you might not want to develop this idea at home, but then there is no place that you can go that is nice and free thinking environment that has internet, that has beverages at a cheaper cost, for you to just sit there and sit with some friends and you doodle. And I find that that's important for entrepreneurship, because we always want a space that we can get to sit with each other and talk and come up with amazing ideas. You can't do that in a space that's locked in, a space that doesn't have Wi-Fi, or, okay, we'll make the decisions here and then we'll type them when we go home. Sometimes that defeats the purpose, and it's really counterproductive. So I think if we have more spaces in Guyana for young people and entrepreneurs to be in, and this space must be free of cost, by the way, because it's a government space. If this space can be free of cost and they can sit there, it's a creative space, it has like very nice colors, it's well designed by the artistic community who gets paid for doing that job, and the payment doesn't come late. So these different things have to happen. Like, the government needs to really align systems to boost entrepreneurship, and these systems must be comfortable, they must be well equipped, and they must not come at the cost. And while the not coming at a cost part might seem, but why does she want to exploit the government? It's just this: when you do these things to boost entrepreneurship, you have more people with earning power. So if we have more businesses that are thought of at these creative spaces, then it means that we have more businesses established. When you have more businesses established, people earn, they get money, they can put back into the economy. But if
And it,
you have persons restricted in terms of their ability to be creative, then our country will remain in this, okay, I want to be creative, but I don't have the tools, I don't have the equipment, I don't have the time, I can't think properly, my brain is not. You have to create the spaces, and I also believe that the government needs to do more in terms of, and this is a thought of one of my colleagues, they have to do more in terms of bridging the agencies and institutions that do a lot in terms of setting up a business or the necessary licenses or things that you need to do when you set up a business. I find, and even in my own personal experience, you want to register a business, sometimes the personnel don't give you the right information. They don't guide you. You have to go 4 or 5 times to get the same information that you could have gotten one time. You might need the NIS card, but this agency doesn't tell you that, and so you set up a business, but you don't pay NIS or you don't get this license, and so that creates the confusion in Guyana in terms of the different businesses that are set up, and that's why the country is not able to get the revenue that it needs from all of the businesses that are set up. So if you have all of these agencies that they're they're very, I'm trying to find a word. Like we need to do a lot more in terms of hospitality to our own. We don't do that when it comes to information sharing. And I think that for the business community to be boosted and for the government to really boost entrepreneurship and to really say, look, we think about you because we know that when you create more businesses, as a country will get more, they will have to put these measures in place. They'll have to set up the agencies so that there is this linkage between agencies so that persons can have more information available to them, and they can also be in spaces that they can think freely and creatively without restrictions. The money will come.
Yeah,
but
I wanna ask you something there. I mean, is this a typical discussion among you young people about these?
This is a typical discussion. We talk about this a lot.
So
We talk about having thinking spaces and these agencies to have them interconnected so we won't have to be running to GRA, then running back to NIS, then running to the D's registry or the business registry. It's so fatiguing that as a business community, if you don't have these systems in place, you stifle or you reduce the entrepreneurial spirit of your people when that can really just be avoided if you put the necessary measures in place.
Jubilante, I'm sorry you have to run.
No problem.
Because I would like to talk to you a little bit more, but we have a minute or two. How would you, since you started GAN to now, how has GAN grown in terms of the mission you started out with and your vision for empowering and teaching young people?
I would say we've grown exponentially, in my opinion. When we started out as a nonprofit organization, the vision was still skewed because there were many voices wanting different things, even though I knew what I wanted it to be. And as a young person, having to compete with older voices when it comes to your vision, sometimes you don't know what to do. And so you go with what you think, okay, this may be better, but it might not be what you want. And so when we started off, it was, I really want this, but we'll just have to do this for now. And so I started off by settling. But then I think one moment I had it wasn't a light bulb, but you know when people say they have the click?
Yes.
Like I had a click moment when I was like, wait, this is not what I want. The mission and the vision will not be achieved if this continues to happen and if the opinions of others drown out what really should be the extent of the growth of the organization. And so we had to do a lot of reshuffling and rebranding. And after rebranding in the first quarter of this year, the organization was in a better position to make its own decisions free of, person's their own personal agendas, and because the organization has been able to make its own decisions using the ideas of the young people in the organization, we see what they want, we try to bring that to the table. We also try to bring things that are different. I have seen tremendous growth even at a few of our recently concluded activities. I have been able to have my leaders be a bit more out there in terms of running their own projects. And I think that seeing them there, instead of being afraid or instead of relying on me to take the lead, I think that really showed me that, look, we have really come a far way, to know that they have learned over the few months, over the year, on how they can, create ideas of their own. They know I support creative ideas. So even if it sounds ridiculous, I'm like, we're going to go with it. And so when we go with ridiculous ideas that are really innovative ideas, I have seen the organization take leads that other organizations have not. We are actually the first nonprofit organization to host a movie night in an actual theater. We had to comply by the necessary copyright laws. We had to ensure that the tickets were all covered, on the end of ensuring that the producers and everyone in the films were paid before we were able to actually make. So we learned a whole lot about the theater system by having our movie night there. We hope to continue such a project because as an organization, the Guyana Animation Network, and being under the industries of film, animation, and technology, in terms of the legal laws and the legal ramifications that are in place, as an organization, we try to follow those as opposed to doing it the wrong way because we're a nonprofit. And so we have grown. We have our logo is trademarked. That means that no one can use our mark unauthorized.
All right, I gotta get in here, Jubilante. I gotta get in here because time.
Sorry,
you
but
remember. Hold on.
we have grown.
You have to go. And I told you it's not gonna be enough time. I know you gotta go, and I appreciate you spending the time, making the sacrifice to come on the show.
Thank you.
I want to say something, and tell me if you think this is accurate. You're not saying, and since I spoke to you with the other Guyanese youth in business early 2016, that it's not a generation competition per se. Is you're saying that young people too have ideas and good ideas, and they should be given an opportunity to express themselves and to act on these ideas. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, you are. We need more incubator style systems so that we can incubate innovative ideas that will benefit Guyana, not only Guyana, but benefit Guyana in a global perspective. So that the country will earn, because globally, persons are coming to see what it is that's new that we are able to generate from the young people we have. And I think that that's phenomenal. That's the way other countries do it. So,
Jubilante, thank you for spending the time with me. I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry that time is not enough, but just know that we are going to contact you at some point to come back, because there are lots of questions that I didn't get a chance to ask you, and we need to pick that young, brilliant, progressive, enterprising mind of yours. Thank you.
Okay, can I just say one
Sure,
thing,
of course, of course.
So after our unofficial close of our Girls in ICT initiative, we have been able, well, first we were able to reach 189 girls, and now we have a sustained number of 30 plus girls at both the Bishop's High School and Marion Academy who have endeavored in their own business initiatives. At this point, we need business mentors from the pool of entrepreneurs in Guyana. And if there are any foreign mentors that are interested in mentoring any business, please contact the Guyana Animation Network, contact our Facebook page so that we can send you an email and you can let us know how you'll be able to invest or donate towards this project, because this is one way that we have been able to really inspire the entrepreneurial spirits of children who are between the ages of about 9 or 11 to 19. And they've shown that they can meet the demands of entrepreneurship. So I would really like for more mentors, investors, and donors to come on board, because we funded this initiative through our summer camp in August, and now we're out of funds. So I want to continue, and I know that will only be possible through the donors and investors that we have on board. So thank you for having me, Mr. Collins.
It's been a pleasure.
You for everyone.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.